I stubbed my toe for what seems like the 9 billionth time this morning on my granddaughter's tower, which is this little wooden structure in my kitchen that lets her climb up and be like a little above eye level with the counter so she can see what's going on in the kitchen. The tower has been in my kitchen for probably 8 weeks, and I have stubbed my toe on it over and over again. It's like I cannot remember that it's there. And the reason is because when I moved into this house, there was no tower there, and I got used to walking through that spot. And now my body thinks, oh, you can still walk through that spot. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because there are so many places in our life where we feel stuck, where we feel disempowered, because we are running a program from the past, something that we learned often as a child and often before the age of 7. This is scientific. It often is something that happened before the age of 7 that has programmed us to behave a certain way today and keep doing that thing that sucks over and over and over. So if you like the idea of stepping out of some disempowering behavior that you've had, probably something more significant than stubbing your toe, I invite you to listen because this video might just change your life. I am reading a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've read it before, and the reason I'm reading it again is because yesterday I did my group hypnosis session, which is called Trancy Tuesdays, about the topic. Someone said, hey, can you help me know how to step out of self-limiting boundaries? Will you help me know how to step out of behaviors that are keeping me stuck? And I've tried over and over and over again to change them, and they just don't seem to be getting fixed. Like me trying over and over and over again to stop stubbing my toe on that stinking thing and keep stubbing my toe on it. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about exactly, it's actually the neuroscience underneath how we change, why we change, when we change, and how we can do it predictably. And I'm going to share that inside this short video, short-ish. So what I want you to do is think about a behavior in your life that is keeping you stuck. Something that you would like to change, something that maybe you have tried to change before and not been successful. If you've tried to change it before and not been successful, that proves that it's a subconscious habit. It's not something you're consciously trying to do. It's something that's happening on autopilot, and it's something that's happening essentially without your permission, which means it's been turned into a subconscious program. Did you know that back in caveman days, a person would rather stay in the cave all day long than ever go out because the cave was familiar, the cave felt safe. And we have that same part of the brain intact today. There's a part of us that wants things to stay the same. It wants me to keep trying to walk through the spot where that tower lives now because it's just used to that and it wants to maintain the status quo. And this part of us is not interested in us thriving. It's not interested in things getting better and better. It's interested in survival. It's interested in familiarity. And so often the part of you that is keeping you stuck is a part of you that really wants to keep that program in place, that really wants to keep you stubbing your toe on the tower when you are ready to step outside of that behavior. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And before I do, I want to tell you about a study that I heard about just this morning as I was listening to this audiobook that I told you about. And it was a study done in the year 2000 on over 3,000 people with sepsis. Sepsis is an infection of the blood. And I remember when my brother was much younger, he got an infection in his eye and it became septic. It became a sepsis infection, and they kept him hospitalized for many days because it was so close to his brain that they were worried for his life. And he was on massive doses of antibiotics to clean out the infection and to get him back on his feet again, which happened. And I'm watching this show called Anne with an E, and one of the characters towards the end of the last season passes away from sepsis. Sorry for the spoiler alert. Hopefully you're not watching it and don't get sad about knowing what happens. But she cuts her finger cooking, I believe, and that cut gets infected and becomes septic, and she actually passes away. I don't know if this was like pre-antibiotics or what, but she didn't make it. So sepsis is a really big deal. So in this study, they took a little bit over 3,000 people with sepsis, and they gathered up two sets of charts. They gave half the charts to one group and they did nothing with the other half of the charts. So the one group that they gave half the charts to was a group that was meant to pray for the people in this group. If the word prayer bothers you, I apologize. Please know that you can substitute. Anytime you hear me say pray or prayer from now on, you can substitute it with the idea of sending an intention, sending a wish, sending positive thoughts. I believe it's the exact same thing. And prayer has been statistically proven over and over again to work. And I'm going to give you a secret that tells you exactly how to pray or send positive thoughts to a person in a way that actually makes a difference for them. So in this study, half the people got prayed for, half the people didn't. And they found that there was a statistically significant result. The people who got prayed for were in the hospital for less time and they had fevers for less time. Even less of them passed away than in the study that nobody did anything, the group of people that did nothing with. But it wasn't a statistically significant amount of people, less people who died. So they don't talk about that part. But it was a significant amount of people who were had shorter stays in the hospital. I think it was even significantly shorter stays in the hospital, and who their fever lowered more quickly. But there's a catch to this study. You're gonna be blown away by this. The study was done in the year 2000, but it was done with patients who experienced sepsis in 1990 to 1996. So they were actually sending prayers to people into the past, and it made a difference in their outcome to send prayers to them in the past. And one of the things I love so much about this, and if you stick with me, you're going to find out how this impacts your life. There is a protocol that I teach in another video that I learned from Melissa Tiers, and it's called Reimprinting. It's based on an NLP protocol. And it actually lets a person go into the past and recreate a scene from the past that has been traumatizing them. You and I both know we don't change the past. The past is the past. However, did you know that every time you think about the past, every time you access memories of the past, you are changing them? So if you think about something that happened in the past, maybe something that was traumatic, and you're feeling yucky when you think about it, you're actually pouring yuckiness into that memory and you're making it even more yucky in your mind than it was in real life. And so this re-imprinting protocol allows a person to go into the past and shift and adjust and change their perception of it, the way it is coded in their body, in a way that says you don't have to stub your toe on that thing anymore. So I'm going to explain really quickly how it works. I have a longer video that explains it in depth and walks you through it. But what you want to do is think about a scene from the past and imagine that you are watching that scene on TV. And imagine that you can see yourself in the TV screen inside that scene. And it works well if you have the TV be like out a ways from you and down low, so you're looking down. When you're looking down at something, you're sending a message to your body that you are superior to that thing. So it's like, I'm okay now, I'm looking down at this. Often when we experience trauma, when we are struggling with a past memory, it happens because we are being in the scene as we are thinking about it. We're imagining it as if we're seeing it through our own eyes, hearing it through our own ears, feeling it with our own body. And if it's a scene from the past when we were very small and young, we're often even seeing things from low down, like we're that small child. And when you shift things so that you are feeling empowered, you can even allow yourself to get into a really empowered posture, adopt some empowered breathing with some deep breaths, and then look down at that scene and see yourself in it instead of be yourself in it. Everything changes. And like I said earlier, we are not changing the past, but you can ask yourself this question. And this is the most effective question when a person is praying for someone or setting intention to someone as well. What do I want to have happen? If you had a magic wand and you could change that scene in any way, if you had a magic wand and you could change that thing your friend is going through in any way, if you could change the thing that you're struggling with, how would you change it? What positive thing would you want to have happen? And when you start thinking about the positive thing that you want to have happen, everything shifts. So you can go back and watch that scene from the past and imagine something totally different taking place. Imagine yourself maybe being rescued from that situation. Imagine yourself never going down that path. Imagine whatever it is that resonates for you. Your imagination will give you the answer when you ask yourself, what do I wish would have happened? What do I want to have happen? So, if you think about effective prayer, effectively sending wishes to others, or effectively stepping out of a disempowering behavior in your own life, I want you to first of all answer the question, what do I want to have instead? So often, if I ask someone this inside a hypnosis session, they'll say, well, I won't. I won't want to overeat anymore, or I won't need to go and have a beer every night after dinner, or I won't snap at my kids when I'm feeling frustrated. And every time you talk about what you won't do, you are actually embedding the problem into place because you're creating a mental image of what you don't want. So what I'll say to them, I'll say, okay, when that behavior, when that overeating habit is a thing of the past, what beautiful thing will be there in its place? And then they'll start to talk about what life will be like when that habit is no longer there. And that's when everything shifts. And this is so tricky, yet so simple, because this is the reason people stay stuck. They don't think about what they want to have instead. I don't think about walking around that tower instead of stubbing my toe on it. Believe me, I'm going to after this video. And when you start to, we create as we narrate. So when you start to talk about or think about what you want to have happen instead, everything shifts. And your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, those are the same thing in my opinion. That part of you that is always listening and always paying attention starts to recode those problems that have been an issue for you and starts to put a new process in place and put new programs in place so that you can let go of that old stubbing your toe program that used to bother you. Again, stubbing your toe is just a metaphor for whatever has been holding you back. And the same thing happens when we send intentions and wishes and positive things to others. Back in the day when I was steeped in a religion that I'm no longer a part of, I used to like sob and cry and beg and plead that this terrible thing would stop for these people that were struggling, that I knew that were struggling. And I would do it for my own self, like, please make it stop. This is the exact same thing where we're thinking about what we don't want and we're actually painting a bigger picture of the thing we don't want. When you start to ask yourself, what do I want to have happen? If everything just goes beautifully, if a miracle happens, what will happen in this person's life? What do I want to happen in my own life? And you start vividly imagining that positive outcome, everything changes. Here's a hint. If you shift your 3 B's before you do this for yourself or others, it makes it so much more effective. The 3 B's are body language, breathing, and belief. And belief is just whatever we're saying to ourselves. Because when we recycle self-talk, it becomes a belief. So if a person is praying like this, it's going to be such a different outcome than if they're doing this, than if they're shifting their body language into an empowered posture, letting your shoulders relax, letting yourself almost imagine that there's a magic string pulling you up from the top of the head and allowing the rest of your body to relax and kind of hang from that point. And then take a deep, empowering breath in and let it out with a slow, relaxing inhale. And then to think to yourself, what if something amazing happens? Or just think to yourself, what do I want to have happen? Everything shifts and you become empowered and capable of thinking about that situation as if something amazing might happen. And it is scientifically proven that your thoughts about that situation can literally change the outcome. If you want the hypnosis audio where I walk people through this process, I created this hypnosis audio for my Trancy Tuesdays group that I see every Tuesday. And if you want it, you can look at the video description below this video to get immediate access. It is a game changer. A lot of people have said it's their favorite one yet, and it's one of my favorites. And if you want my hypnosis audio called The Blessing, which is me guiding people through a sort of a prayer that allows them to send wishes, to send intentions, to send thoughts out into the universe toward the people who are struggling in their life or even for themselves in a way that's actually effective, in a way that is actually proven to make a statistical difference in your life or in the life of your loved ones. That is also in the description below this video. I hope you loved this one. I would love to hear what you like about it. If there's anything you don't like about it, I'm open to that as well. And if there's anything you'd like me to talk about in a future video, let me know in the comments below and I will make you a video. Have a beautiful day, my friend.